Hello, everyone. This is host V. Again, this is the Bielefeld Briefing, episode 2. I'm pleased to be joined again by Misha. How you doing, Misha?
Not too bad. How are you?
I am all right, my man. All right. Well, listeners, again, I do appreciate you listening to the first episode. Like I just told Misha, our first episode is 144 downloads so far. We do appreciate the support. And yeah, we hope you like our analysis on Bielefeld, how it goes. And we'll keep on adding some stuff to the podcast, make it a little more interactive and keep the list up to listener engagement. So yeah, we do appreciate you. And I'll get right into it. Of course, today was a big game, obviously, to put it mildly. um, Dresden top of the table. We was right there, a point below them, and watching the game, it was electric. The crowd was. It was one of the games I would love to have been there. Obviously, I mean, it was just an incredible atmosphere. And yeah, I'll let Misha give his thoughts on the game first. Misha, just in general, let's start with the first half. How do you think the first half went for BFL?
I think, well, first of all, just to comment on the atmosphere, that was absolutely electric. Even not being in the stadium, just watching the coverage, you could really feel it. The tifo was amazing. Tip my hat to the ultras who organized it. I can't wait to see what they have planned for Berlin, but that was really amazing. I think that was really a tifo worthy of a 120-year anniversary. Very impressive, and the atmosphere was really good. At least on TV, TV was really electric. And the first half could have gone really either way. I had the feeling that Bielefeld was a bit better than Dresden, but it was definitely noticeable that was the top match of the league. Definitely the two best teams, and they kind of neutralized each other also a bit, even though they created quite a lot of chances. So that was quite interesting to see that, despite the fact there were really two good defensive rows playing each other, there were quite a lot of chances on either side. I think slight advantage for Bielefeld definitely in the first half. So I would have loved to see us take a lead. But in the end, Dresden also had a couple of chances that were really close calls. So I think a 0-0 at halftime was okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree with you. Like I said, the first few minutes there, you could tell each team were very antsy. It's a big game, and BFL and Dresden both were. They didn't want to push too much to leave themselves bare, going back. So I think both teams were nervous out the gate, and that was the case for most of the first half. But towards the end, they got a little more comfortable. Like I said, Dresden, you got hands off to them. They're a good team, so I knew it was going to be a battle the whole game. Of course, going back to how they had badly beat us in, I think it was December, 3-0 at their place. So I knew it was going to be a tough one. We've been on a great run ourselves, and Dresden hasn't been as good of a run, but still, again, they're a very good team. So I knew it was going to be a battle. Of course, Dresden bought thousands of fans. I don't know the exact number, but it was a great atmosphere again. First half, like Misha said, not much action. Both teams kind of fill each other out, and of course, we went at halftime 0-0. And at halftime, I was like, okay. I told myself we got this. We can at least get something out of this game. I never really thought that. Oh, we're definitely gonna lose this game. I never really thought that. Um, but yeah, and I'm sure many Dresden fans might thought the same thing. But just in general, I agree with Misha that the first half overall was pretty even. It's pretty. Bielefeld might slightly edge it there towards the end, but it was pretty overall. It was pretty even. I think going into halftime, both teams could feel pretty confident going to the second half, for sure. And again, the second half started off a little bit better for both teams. BFL, overall, we had way too many shots outside the box. It seemed like um, I appreciate like Opie and all them taking the chance, and he's got a great left foot. Don't get me wrong, but and Shrek had a couple good opportunities. Speaking of Shrek, I just want to give a shout out to Shrek because I think early on in the season he wasn't really involved with the team all that much, but he has really came along last month or so to really help the club out. So he's not gonna give you 20 goals a year, but he is going to be around the box and make stuff happen. So yeah, just shout out to Sam Shrek for sure on that one. But yeah, and of course, they finally we was pushing. We were pushing. Then unfortunately Dynamo on the counter ended up in the Lemur easy header. It was up 1-0. And I was like, I'll be honest with you, listeners. I held my head and I might have cussed. I'll be honest with you. Especially just against, you hate to give a goal against a run of play like that, especially when you were
Yeah.
on top. And how you feel, Misha, about their goal?
Well, I mean, it was a nice goal, to be honest. As a neutral spectator, would have said, yeah, great goal, great attack. Also, was a bit unlucky. I think it wasn't even. I think our defense was okay. Wasn't much they could have done better in that situation, really. So it was not even an undeserved goal. I think Dresden did a lot for this game, so I can see them scoring. But I must say, at that point, I was pretty sure we would be scoring because we had such a good run up until that, until the Dresden goal. You've mentioned Shrek; he was amazing today. He's been amazing for the past games. His improvement over the season has been really beautiful to watch. I think he will be also a very important player going forward. So it was a bit surprising to see that goal. Yeah, I cursed myself. And to be honest, ahead of the game, I had the idea that the team that scores first will win. So I was like, oh, shit. This will probably not be good for us because I could see Dresden defending this goal pretty well. And they did a good job at that also, one has to say. I mean, we were then the final 20 minutes. I thought we were the better team and we did a really good job of attacking them. But as you said, we had a lot of long shots. We had difficulties getting into the box. We had difficulties getting Kanye into situations where he was able to shoot and score. But then ultimately, we still got that final chance of the game. Got a bit lucky with the own goal, but it was deserved. And not only was it deserved, I think it was maybe one of the most important goals we scored this season, even though it was an own goal, because not only were Dresden not able to celebrate in our stadium, it put us 4 points ahead going into the next game. And I think just also from a psychological perspective, scoring a late equalizer is always good for morale. You could really see how happy the players were. You could see how the fans were celebrating. So I think this point is actually worth quite a lot, including the momentum it will give us.
Oh, for sure, Mitch. I agree with. Like I said, it's late in the season. Obviously, we want all 3 points, but in the grand scheme of things, is a fantastic point. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I mean
Like you said,
we've lost all 3 games against Dresden in the third league. So just scoring a point at this point of the season was really, really important, especially since Saarbrücken won today. So just having this 4-point lead now, as opposed to just a 3-point lead, is also so good for our mind to put the players at ease a bit, but still keep up the pressure enough that they will go into the Unterhaching game wanting to win.
of course, yeah. And looking at it, I think the latest stats I looked at, our goal difference is highly superior to Saarbrücken. So essentially, it's a 5-point lead.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and of course, you still want to finish strong, but essentially, next 2 games, very winnable games. Just win one of those, and we're golden. Just mathematically, we're golden. So, I think at the end of the day, it would have been tight if we didn't get any points out of this. It'd be really tight because Saarbrücken, again, they're coming on strong. They're finishing strong. They're a good team, and regardless, the next 2 teams we face are one's already relegated, the other one might be confirmed relegation this weekend. Regardless, you still gotta take it serious. So, like Misha said, this point, probably the best point we've had in a while, especially Dresden. We've not played well against them at all, to put it mildly, last couple of years. So, again, hats off. I think even Dresden, yeah, they'd be a little upset because they didn't clinch promotion, but even at the end of the day for them, probably a good point for them as well. So
Yeah.
they're 5 points clear now. So,
Yeah, maybe even I know, in the end, I'm not a friend of Dresden at all. I don't like their fans, but they will be able to celebrate promotion in their own stadium, so that's a positive for them too. It was, of course, fun to see their disappointment, and because they were already celebrating, they had all their banners out. So that was, of course, fun to see their disappointment then when we equalized. But to be honest, just looking at ourselves, I think we needed this point more than they did, so we got it. Saarbrücken will try everything next weekend against Aachen. I think Saarbrücken have momentum right now with the new coach. He saved Rostock 2 or 3 years ago. He saved them from being relegated in the second league. So he knows how to, motivate a team in the final stretch. So I'm expecting Saarbrücken to win in Aachen next week. and that will just be important for us to then clinch it in Unterhaching. It won't be easy because Unterhaching, they have nothing to lose anymore, and very often that's when teams start playing well again. When they've been relegated, and they can just do whatever they want. So I don't think it will be an easy game. But I think we will have to give it all. It might be even be as difficult as it was today, but we will definitely have to win on Tahang because I don't want it to be down to the wire. I really would like to go into the last game not having to depend on a point or depending on winning in the last game to be promoted. I don't think my nerves could deal with that, to be honest.
No, I agree with Misha. Like I said, and regardless how anything, title, I know the promotion, the title is still technically up for grabs. I mean, because Dreads, I'm sure their fans are probably anxious too. If they lose and we win next week, hey, we're right back on top with one game left. So, of course, at the end of the day, promotion is what you want, but the title is still up for grabs. So you can look at that. Or if they just drop points and we win, we'll be on top. So the title's up for grabs, and again, guys, listeners, at the end of the day, a fantastic point. Um, my man of the match today was Opie. I just think, yeah, he has some kind of pot shots, but overall, just I love how the guy plays the game. I usually pick Corbos or it's the fellow American, but in this one I give it to Opie. I just think he makes some good decisions. He had a couple of shots were a little off, but they still, they was right there. At least he took the chances, and he was my man of the match. Who's your man of the match, Misha?
I think OP's not a bad decision, but I really like Shrek today. I think he did so much for the game. He had so many opportunities. He's also such a fighter. So I've really been enjoying his game lately. But to be honest, there were many players who were really good today. Noah had a bit of problems in the beginning. He didn't have a lot such a grip on the game, so he fell off a little. But other than that, it was a great team effort. Oppie has been very amazing this season, and I think we have to go up for him to stay because otherwise it would be a short transfer, I'm guessing. But my season's MVP will have to be Stefano Russo. I don't think anybody was expecting much from that transfer, and he's just turned into the most important player on the pitch. He's the way he holds the defense together and also is kind of a defensive playmaker as well is really, really exciting to watch. And I really hope that we can keep him too, because him and Colbos are a great duo in the midfield. And I think that will be essential to have them next season, which I'm hoping will be second league then.
Of course, yeah. Like touch on base with Shrek, when it's amazing. Still think he's only 26 years old. It seems like he's been around forever. Shrek, he
Looks
was
like an old soul.
He does. He really does. When he was younger, he made appearances for some of the German youth teams and stuff. And people really thought he was going to be a really top-notch player. And he fell off a little bit career-wise. But he's really, again, like I just say, he's only 26 years old. He's really starting to show glimpses of what people saw in him when he was younger. And hopefully he'll keep that up. He's great for this club. I think he works well with everybody else right there in attack. Again, he's not the type of guy to give you 20 goals a season, but the other things he does on the pitch is really important. So yeah, I can see what I agree with. I can see Shrek for sure. Russo, we have a good nucleus here. So going into next season, again, I feel confident second division. We can't, to fully confirm, can't get too excited about it. But just in general, like Misha says, I think we got a good group as far as who makes the transfer decisions, that kind of thing. So I think going into next season, we'll be fine. Corbo seems to generally love playing here. So you lock him up for, extend him even more, however you want to do it for him. Russo, again, because a lot of guys we have, especially the cup run we made and stuff, we're going to have some guys, the other clubs show some interest in this window. That's just the reality of it. Kania, of course, just with the amount of goals he scored, I can see somebody like, I don't know, Hanover, somebody like them maybe, the bigger, in theory, a bigger team in the second division trying to buy him, that kind of thing. So but, I guess the important stress about that till it happens. But just in general, the goal will be to keep this nucleus together. And I think, again, we have a good group of guys making transfer decisions. I'm sure they'll do the best they can to ensure that happens, that we keep our nucleus for sure.
Yeah, I mean, after such a season, very often, the players are up for grabs. There will be interest, definitely, no matter how this season ends, especially with a widely televised cup final also ahead, where the players just have the opportunity to showcase themselves. So I'm pretty sure we will see a couple of players leaving after this season. But then again, thanks to our cup success, we are in a pretty stable financial state right now. So Mutzel, our manager, will have a good budget for next season. So I think even though we might lose some players, we should be able to improve also the entire squad. So it will be really exciting. But of course, first things first, we still have to win in Unterhaching and then also see what happens against Mannheim. So yeah, probably good not to get ahead of ourselves just yet. It's
Well,
not
yeah,
a
I
done
mean, that's
deal
the same
yet.
thing. We're not going to dwell on the if we do win the cup. That's the Europa League, all that. That's something. Obviously, that'll
Oh
be a whole different thing as far as transfers go. But
yeah,
uh, like Misha said, yeah, just make sure we clinch it. And hockey again. We're going to preview that game in a second, but I've been a Bielefeld fan for a long time now, and this is the first season in a long time. I know when we was in first division not too long ago, but I really feel comfortable with these players as far as their mindset. I've never, even when we got down to goal today, I told myself, you know what, these guys, they can come back. They can. You can tell the players' expression; they didn't give up on themselves. And some Bielefeld teams in the past kind of, you can tell by their face they just gave up on some games. But this team, they work well as a unit. You can tell they each have each other's backs out there on the pitch. Um, Kurskin does a great job leading the back line, leading the troops, that kind of thing. And Kerbo's a great captain. So I think, that's why we've been so successful, especially the past few months. Of course, first couple months this season, it didn't look good at all. I mean, I didn't really think we'd get relegated, but it didn't look good at all. But I'm glad that we've really turned it on these last couple of months. And we got essentially 3 more games left for this season. Really, 2 more, 2 important ones coming up, the league games. So we'll see how it goes. But I do feel confident that we can finish the job. I do.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at next weekend, we have the important games are Aachen versus Saarbrücken and Rostock versus Cottbus. And will be interesting to see tomorrow. Cottbus plays in Mannheim. Mannheim have to win tomorrow. So I'm really hoping they will be motivated. And I hope they don't bend under pressure. And it would be great for Cottbus to lose because that will be just one team out of the equation already for us. But other than that, of course, assuming Cottbus does win tomorrow, then we have, of course, a showdown on Saturday with Saarbrücken having to win in Aachen and Cottbus having to win against Rostock. And Rostock still want to get that number 3 relegation promotion spot. Sorry. Also with Rostock on Wednesday, they're playing against Unterhaching. So if Rostock wins, of course, then they're putting the pressure on Saarbrücken too. So that will be really interesting to see. Either way, it might actually happen that we will get promoted sitting on our couch because we play on Sunday.
I was about to
Um,
say that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so we'll have to see. I'm of course hoping that Aachen and either Rostock or Cottbus then, well, Aachen wins and Cottbus and Rostock draw. Yeah, but it will be really exciting to watch that day also, the conference, because yeah, it will be very indicative of how our Sunday will go. Will we be chill or will we actually have to still put the pressure down on Unterhaching?
Oh yeah, yeah. So like you just looked up, if Columbus loses tomorrow, they'll be 4 points back with um, actually it'll be 7 points back, right? Yeah, they'll be 7 points back with 2 games left, so they're done. As
Yeah,
far as
that's done. Yeah,
far as getting an auto spot, they can still snipe Sauerbrücken for the third. But if they lose tomorrow, Columbus is done for autos. And if Sauerbrücken loses next Saturday, we're golden. Now, of course, you don't want to just slide through and just lose 4-0, but you just want to take care of your own business. But like Misha said, if Sauerbrücken loses next Saturday and Columbus loses tomorrow, we're up.
then
But
it's done.
again,
Yeah.
I hate depending on other teams, but also on the flip side of that, of course, we'll be cheering for their opponents. So
As of course their fans do when we play our opponents, they cheer for them too. I think that's normal, of course, that you're rooting for the for the team that plays your opponents. But in the end, I think the one thing the team did really well was turn the season around. 10 to 12 games ago, we thought, we were done. We didn't think we still had a chance in this promotion race because Saarbrücken and Cottbus were so good at what they were doing, and Dresden was already away. And now we are in the second spot. Now we are 4 points ahead. So I think it's good if we just keep our heads down and focus on ourselves and just try to finish the season. And that the best thing we can do is just go into that Unterhaching game and try to win, because that's what definitely Unterhaching will try to do. They know, I'm sure, I mean, they're professionals too. They have been relegated, but they know that they still are involved in the title race and in the promotion race, so they will not let up. They will do their best against Rostock on Wednesday, and they will do their best against us. So I think the best thing we can do is just focus on our game. And regardless of what the opponents do, we want to win both games. So,
of course, yeah. Like I said, I looked. Saarbrücken has got a Saarland Cup final on Tuesday, I believe. I'm quite sure. At least most of their fans probably say, "Well, the league's more important than that Cup final." So I can't see them Saarbrücken put too much of a strong lineup in a Hamburg game Tuesday. So yeah, it's still very. We got the advantage, 4-point advantage, but like Misha said, till it's done, you can't. I'm not gonna get too chipper about it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't really see them actually not taking that game seriously, because they need that cup final also to qualify for the DFB Pokal, which they do not have yet. They do not have this qualification yet. They would have to finish fourth at least. And of course, they're favored now in the third spot, but Rostock and Cottbus could still catch up with both of them, with Saarbrücken. And in that case, they would still lose the DFB Cup qualification. And that is, of course, something that is really vital for their financials. So I do think that they will take that cup final seriously. That being said, I think, at this point of the season, teams are still fit. They are able to handle 2 games in a row. The same thing with Rostock. So, yeah, again, I think it's up to us what we do. You mentioned our mentality earlier. I think that is actually one of the deciding factors, together with the chemistry, the team chemistry. I think we talked last week about the team chemistry. It's a really good chemistry we have, and the mental state the team is in is astonishing. I think Mitch and his team have done a sublime job there preparing the team. They always have that belief that they can turn a game around. We saw today they never let up. That is such an improvement over last season, actually the last couple of years. So that is really good to see. That's why I'm not really that worried that something a huge upset will happen. But we have to stay focused, and I think with the mental state they're in, they should be able to get at least another 3 points from the next couple of 2 games, and that's all we need.
Of course, yeah, of course. I agree with you. Like I said, we sort of preview already. Unterhaching, they're relegated. I mean, they're obviously no way back. Looking at their stats, they play tomorrow. Yeah. But they gave up 39. They only scored 39 goals this year, and they gave up 65. Now, our only game of this year was a 3-3 draw back in December. That was we were still not in the groove at all, not finding our rhythm. I remember somewhat vaguely remember that game 3-3 draw back in December. But like Misha said, they had nothing to play for. They're going to go at it while they got to lose. And they lose 5-0. Okay, cool. And they had nothing to really lose. So on the flip side of that, I'm sure they want to give their fans something to cheer about their last home game of the season. So yeah, like Misha said, we have to take them serious. And I think we will. Like he just said, our coaching staff, our players, they're professionals. They know how to finish games. So I feel good, but I think we can clinch next weekend again. To that final whistle blows, it's confirmed. I'm not gonna get too happy about it, but I feel like Misha said, I think we can clinch next weekend. Then our last game of the season, just chill back, just relax, and just watch it and enjoy the game. Versus gritting your teeth and being anxious, we can just enjoy the final game of the season.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, it would be just great for the team also to have a victory lap, and for the fans to be able to just celebrate the first of hopefully 2 celebrations then.
Of course. Oh, yeah. So like I said, guys, we'll see what happens next weekend. It's next Sunday, I believe. So I'm kind of glad we won a Sunday game, because it makes you a little more anxious if you're playing your game. Also, every 10 seconds checking other scores of other games. So at least with other teams playing Saturday, we know what we have to do Sunday. It gives us, I think, a little bit of a psychological edge. We know exactly what we have to do versus playing. Oh, periodically, if you're a fan of the game, checking other scores every 10 seconds, you can just somewhat relax a little more. You know what you got to do 100%. So, yeah, I think it'll go well. And also, listeners are on this. I posted on Blue Sky a Wishnark signed autograph card. And I posted, I'm going to ask some trivia questions for the listeners out there. And I talked over with Misha how I'm going to do it, listeners, is I'm going to ask 3 questions. And the first 3 listeners who send me the correct answers, I will take those 3 listeners and do a random draw to see who gets the signed card. So again, I'm asking 3 questions right here in a second. And I want to make sure I'll tell you my email or I'll put it on Blue Sky. So the first 3 listeners that send me the correct answers, I'll pull your name out of the hat, and one of you will win the signed card. I just think, this will help the listener engagement. And I have a lot of Bielefeld stuff that I'm going to do this raffle draw, gift prizes, trivia prizes. I have a lot of things I'm going to do with that. So, yeah, I think y'all enjoy it. These questions, if you're a diehard Bielefeld fan, I think should be pretty straightforward to answer. But and I'll repeat the questions, listeners, so you'll know the questions. The first one, question number 1, which Brazilian player had 3 red cards while at the club? So again, which Brazilian player had 3 red cards while he was at Bielefeld? That is the first question. Question 2, who was our front shirt sponsor in the 2013-2014 season? All right. Again, question number 2 is, who was our front shirt sponsor in the 2013-14 season? All right. And question number 3, how many goals did Brian Lasme score as a Bielefeld player? On side note, he was the guy I thought he would, but that's another that's another time. We have a whole podcast about underperforming players. But again, the question is, how many goals did Brian Lasme score as a Bielefeld player? Again, he was a French striker. That helps you out at all. So one last time, question 1, which Brazilian player had 3 red cards while he was at the club? Question 2, who was our front shirt sponsor in the 13-14 season? And question number 3, how many goals did Brian Lasme score as a Bielefeld player? Again, you can email me, ArmeniaUSA@outlook.com. The answers to this, again, ArmeniaUSA@outlook.com. First 3 give me the correct answers. I would do a raffle and pull one of your name out of the hat. So I think those questions are pretty straightforward. Do you agree, Misha, for the most part?
Yeah, sure. Pretty good, easy to answer, I think. The last one's a bit tricky, but I think because, to be honest, it could be nil, in theory, with it being Brian Lasme, but of course it is nil. So yeah, but I think it's doable.
Oh yeah. Like I said, Misha said the third one. Of course, I don't know if you Google out there, but just in general, if all the responses I get, nobody has the correct number of goals, I'll just take whoever's closest to the correct amount. So that's fine too. I did give you a hint that he was kind of a disappointing player, so that might give you a little hint there. But speaking of that, that's a good idea, Mitch. I think down the road, maybe when the season ends, we might have a whole episode of just underrated players and overrated players or underperforming players. Because unfortunately, Bielefeld had a lot of both. Now, some people have different opinions. They might think somebody's overrated. I might think they're underrated. But just in general, yeah, of course. I think just in general, that could be a good episode to have down the road for sure. And last thing, listeners, before we let you go, I told Misha, obviously, playing Stuttgart in the Cup final. The gentleman who runs the American Stuttgart podcast is coming on to ours in a couple of weeks. I think it's a cool thing. He's a nice guy. Of course, we might give him a couple of little digs during the episode just to mess with him. But yeah, just the FYI, he's coming on in a couple of weeks to preview the Cup final. So that'll be so that's a pretty good episode. I still, again, am in contact with the club about getting a North American fan club status. They haven't replied to my email, but I'll still keep y'all up to date on that. And so, yeah, again, to wrap it up, I'll give you my final thought, then ask Misha his final thought. Great point today. 4 points clear. We just got to take care of business. Of course, next Saturday we could, basically promote it already. But let's just say as results go don't go our way. We know what we have to do Sunday to clinch promotion. Against Ernhocking side is already relegated, but you just look around football, soccer world in general, there's always upsets. Always teams that assume they're going to win, they just go out there and just lay a bomb, lay an egg. So we got to take them serious, but with Corbros and the rest of these guys, I feel good about it. I think we'll be just fine. And make sure you got any final thoughts?
Nothing to add, really. This will be the deciding game of the season next week, and I think we have to really do our best there again. And I can't wait to see what happens. And I'm really excited now for these final games. I mean, I just can't wait for Berlin, to be honest. But we need this promotion too, so let's do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, I appreciate you, fans. This has been episode 2 of the Bielefeld Briefing, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Goodbye.